When I look back at my life, and I don't like to look back at my life, but what I see is physical and verbal abuse, sexual abuse. I mean, I have been urinated on and defecated on by the most trusted people in my life, just emotionally and physically raped. And then as I grew, here comes cancer, a very rare stage 3 cancer. I fought 5 years to bring myself out of a 3-year sentencing. They only gave me 3 years to live. And I'm back up on my feet again, and then I have a head-on car crash. An irresponsible 19-year-old girl, I'm her 3rd crash. She crosses 4 lanes of highway and hits us head-on and alters my life, my body, and my brain. And so I live today as I speak to you with a mild traumatic brain injury that doesn't let me work, that doesn't let me remember, that lets me get frustrated and uptight, and everything is backwards. So when I sit with other women, it's my desire to give them hope. I know you've been hard pressed, but you've not been crushed. The fun started. Darn if I went and was born. I was just born. And instead of going into the crib, I think I just fell in my mom's shoe like a pebble. And that's how her and I lived out our relationship for the rest of our lives. So I was raised by a rageaholic. And at age 5, Mom threw a decorative scalloped metal platter at me out of anger because I had moved it from its original position. And so it came flying across the room like a metal frisbee and knocked me out. And my next memory was waking up in the emergency room, having my nose stitched back together. She never apologized. In fact, she made sure I knew it was my fault. I just meant to hit you in the stomach. You're the one who ducked. So the fun started at age 5 with my mom sending me a message. When I was in the 4th grade, I was sought out and found by sexual predators. The word I love you, I never heard from my mother till I was 16. So this predator baited me just right. It's sad to say, and I felt ashamed of it, but I was just so hungry to hear someone say, I love you. My mom never cuddled, never held me. And so even though it was perverted and twisted and wrong, I was hungry for it. And so I was preyed upon for 3 years. 3 years. It didn't stop until I was in junior high. I went numb. I was frozen. An empty, cold survival mode. But then it wore out by age 13. I was going to commit suicide at 13. And then that's when, wow, my God. Boy, he didn't just see me. I just felt like he stopped everything. I really feel like he just told the whole universe, stop. I hear this sad sound coming from 509 Stevens Avenue. My Patty's buying a lie. My Patricia is buying a lie. And he came, and he was there on my bunk bed with me. And I opened my Bible. He really gave me the pull. The Bible pulled me toward itself. I didn't know the power of this Bible, and it became a sword that night. And God impressed upon me to open it, and it opened to Psalms 139. Oh, Psalms, I didn't know there was a Psalms 139. And God said, Patty, there's no place you can go that I don't see you. And I saw you knit together in your mother's womb. And you have to know how important that was for me. I had been rejected by the womb I came out of. And that night God said, oh no, I knit you together with all your gifts and all your talents and all your quirkiness. I couldn't believe these words were talking to me. It wasn't about me reading them. Those words were reading me. And they saw my nothingness and my hopelessness, and they read right into me. And after that night with the Lord, life became amazing. And I was excited. And life didn't get easier, not at all. But it was so much more tolerable because I had this tool. And I was able to push and equalize the pressure that was coming at me from the inside. Through a series of unfortunate events, I am 53 years old and I am homeless. because of what husband had done to me. Ruined our credit, ruined our lives. His addiction to alcohol and vodka and Vicodin and all those vices ruined our lives, and I lost my home. And I started this amazing coming out of the wilderness journey. And the last place I ever wanted to be was back at my mom and dad's house. I hate that house. I was molested in that neighborhood or in the house, beaten up in that house. I hate that house. And it's the last place I wanted to end up. And my sovereign God forced me through other closed doors in those 2.5 years of being homeless. He forced me back to my mom's house, and I lived with her for her last 11 months. I was on a futon, sleeping in the back little room, and I was tormented. The memories came in, and they were clawing at me. I could feel it. And I remember crying out to God one day. I said, I don't want to be here, please. I don't want to be here. And he knew how desperate I was. And so once again, he ascended down at 509 Stevens Avenue, and he met me in the hallway, and he put his arm around me, and he said, Patti, this doesn't have to be a place of torment. I need you to hear this. He goes, what happened in that bedroom between you and I when you were 13? See, I was in my same bedroom, and I hated that thought. And God had his arm around me, and he said, what happened in that bedroom between you and me? And I went, oh, wow, yes, you came. You came and delivered me from suicide. He goes, Patti, that room is holy ground. Because you need to understand, it was hopeless there. I'm 53 years old. Everything's gone. I had to sell every dish, every piece of silverware. All the drapes was sold so I could have money to live off of. And now I'm stripped down to being this woman in the hallway, having to sleep on a futon in her childhood home. Last place I wanted to be. Last place. But God came, and he said, Patti, that's holy ground. I was diagnosed with cancer on May 1st, 1995. It had gone undetected for 5 years, so I didn't have a spot of cancer. I was full of it. I remember going home that night of the biopsy, and the house was quiet, and I asked God. I said, I know you, and we walked through a lot, and I know people die. Is this where you've designed for me to walk off planet Earth? Because I need your help, God. I've never died before, so I'm going to need you to walk with me on this one. But he spoke to me that night, and he took me through some scriptures, and he said, under your old age and your gray hair, it is I who will hold you and sustain you and rescue you. And of course, I wished he would have gone on and said, I will supernaturally take the whole diagnosis away. But he didn't. So he chose to have me walk and go under the scalpel and go through the chemo and have the bald head and have the weak body. But I knew I wasn't going to die, and that was enough. What drives me to sit before women, I love to get eye to eye with them so they can see into my heart. I share the pressures of life, not to pick a scab, not to trigger anything, but just to show them that I understand pressures of life, prolonged, consistent pressures that can crush you. But because of what we have in God, because of the empowering of his word and his promises, that we can push back from the inside out. So maybe our surroundings won't change, but we change. That's the God I serve. He changes the conditions inside my heart. He didn't take me out of anything. He kept me in everything. I've been hit by cancer. I've been hit by cars. I've been tied in chairs. I've had my nose torn open. But I'm not going to be quiet about my God. The world has done a lot to us, but my God has taken it all back by his design. You can have peace in this pressure cooker world.